This is one of those war secrets hiding in plain sight. The drink that wasn't coffee. When supply lines cracked and real coffee became too valuable to waste, armies turned to substitutes. Not as a luxury, but as survival gear. These drinks looked like coffee, smelled like coffee, and were served like coffee. But they carried no caffeine at all. They were made from roasted grains, roots and seeds, barley, chicory, acorns, even burnt bread in the worst conditions. The goal wasn't taste, it was function. Something hot, something familiar, something that told the body it was time to be alert. Soldiers called it coffee because calling it anything else would break morale. Why caffeine wasn't always the answer. Caffeine was powerful, but it had a cost. Jitters, crashes, dehydration. In prolonged combat, that mattered. Commanders learned fast that too much caffeine could wreck judgment and spike anxiety, especially in cold, wet, sleepless conditions. Caffeine-free coffee solved a different problem. It didn't overstimulate. It didn't wear soldiers down hours later. It created steady alertness without the whipcrack effect. In survival terms, it was controlled energy. Heat as a weapon against fatigue. One of the most overlooked facts of warfare is how much cold drains the mind. Not just the body. Cold slows thinking. It dulls reactions. A hot drink fights that instantly. When soldiers wrapped frozen hands around a steaming cup, blood flow improved. Muscles loosened. Breathing slowed. The brain woke up. This wasn't theory. It was observed in the field again and again. A hot drink before watch duty reduced mistakes. A hot drink before movement reduced injury. The caffeine didn't matter. The heat did. The power of ritual. War strips life down to chaos. Ritual brings it back under control. That cup of fake coffee became a signal. Wake up. Focus. You're still human. You're still standing. Your unit is still here. The brain responds to expectation. Soldiers who believed the drink helped them stay awake often perform better than those who skipped it. This is not weakness. This is survival psychology. The smell alone triggered alertness. Roasted grains release compounds that stimulate the senses even without caffeine. The body learned the cue and responded. Modern science would later call this conditioned arousal. In wartime, it was just common sense. Why it worked in extreme conditions. Caffeine-free coffee didn't spike heart rate. That mattered under stress. Elevated heart rate combined with fear can lead to panic and tunnel vision. A steady system keeps perception wide. These drinks also avoided dehydration. Real coffee pulls water from the body. In frozen forests and dusty battlefields, dehydration was deadly. Caffeine-free substitutes allowed soldiers to drink more without penalty. More fluid meant better circulation, better thinking, better endurance. Simple. Effective. Forgotten. The taste of survival? Nobody pretended it tasted good. Soldiers joked about it, complained about it. Then, well, they reached for another cup. The bitterness mattered. Bitter flavours trigger alertness. They tell the brain something serious is happening. Sweet relaxes. bitter sharpens. That rough taste became associated with readiness, with night watches, with long marches, with holding the line when sleep was no longer an option. In survival situations, taste is secondary. Function rules. Lessons modern survivalists ignore. Today, energy means cans and powders, fast spikes, faster crashes. But wartime experience tells a different story. Sustained alertness beats artificial highs. Warmth beats stimulation. Ritual beats chemistry. A caffeine-free hot drink before a long night watch still works. A bitter, roasted beverage can still sharpen focus without wrecking sleep cycles later. This is old knowledge, field-tested, war-tested. Why history erased it? After the war, abundance returned. Real coffee flooded back in, and, well, marketing took over. Energy became something you bought, not something you built. The quiet effectiveness of caffeine-free coffee didn't sell. It didn't promise speed. It promised steadiness. That doesn't excite peacetime consumers. So it faded into footnotes, mess hall memories, veteran stories never written down. Until now. What soldiers really drank for energy? They didn't rely on magic ingredients. They relied on systems. Heat, hydration, habit, psychology. Caffeine-free coffee was a tool, not a trick. It kept men awake because it supported the body instead of shocking it. In long-term survival, that difference matters more than any stimulant. The forgotten takeaway is this. Energy is not just chemistry. It's environment, expectation, temperature, timing. World War II soldiers stayed awake without caffeine because they understood something we've lost. The body doesn't need to be whipped. It needs to be supported. That bitter cup carried more than warmth. It carried discipline, focus, and control in a world falling apart. That's not just history. That's a lesson. If you want more forgotten survival knowledge pulled straight from the hard years, stay with us. Subscribe to War-Tested Survival. Share this story with someone who thinks energy only comes in a can. Because the past still has a few tricks left, and the next one might keep you alive.